It's time for all the news you need and more. Brookland is Live starts right now.
And just so we set the record straight, because I've been watching the Wall Street Journal's fake news and all these stories that get printed like, oh, I want to make, they are begging to make a deal, not me. And anybody that's so over there would understand why they want to make a deal. But they say, oh, we're not talking to them. No, they're talking. And only a total flat. They're very smart, actually, in a certain way. Negotiators. I say they're lousy fighters, but negotiators. Begin to work out a deal. I don't know if we'll be able to do that. I don't know if we're willing to. They should have done that 4 weeks ago. They should have years ago. Or they should have done it when came into office, because 2 years reign under Biden, Sleepy Joe, worst president of our country.
So there you go. That was President Trump on all of that. And I'm sorry if we were having audio issues there in the beginning. So again, a big news day is what I was saying. We got a lot to talk about. We're now getting new polling about all of this. And a new poll from the Associated Press in Newark on how Americans feel about this war in Iran. They were asked a question, quote, would you say the recent U.S. military action against Iran has gone too far, not gone far enough, or been about right? 59% said this war had gone too far. The margin of error here, 4%. Now, about right, 26%. Not far enough, 13%. So new polling on all of this suggesting that maybe some Americans feel that this war has now gone a little bit too far. Marco Rubio now on Friday saying talks are ongoing because, as you know, we're going to give you a fuel price update coming up here in just a moment, but the Strait of Hormuz has been closed really since this conflict began, and that is what is causing gas prices across the United States and really just across the world to continue to go up. Here is Marco Rubio and Steve Witkoff, who serves as the special envoy to the Middle East, on this over the weekend. Here we go.
There will be meetings this week. We're certainly hopeful for it. Ships are passing. That's a very, very good sign.
We've had an exchange of messages and indications from the Iranian system, whatever's left of it, about a willingness to talk about certain things. We're waiting for further clarification about who is it that we would be talking to, what will we be talking about, and when will we be talking.
So there you go. They were there. Steve Witkoff, Marco Rubio saying talks are in place. We're waiting on kind of who we're talking to, what we're talking about, when we're going to be talking. Of course, this comes after Pakistan has become the place where we know some of these talks are also ongoing. The Strait still closed, negotiations still ongoing, at least according to the U.S. Prices for fuel really continuing to rise, and that brings you to what I said we were going to talk about just a few moments ago, your daily gas price update. So if you have followed us throughout the last few weeks on Brookland News Live, since we began doing our coverage of this conflict, you know we have been covering this, giving you guys gas price updates, and each day, almost each day, we start you off first with a look at the Iran war. Right now, the average of gas price is standing at around $3.99, at least according to AAA here. That is up. Previously, and I'll scroll down here to see, because you can see the yesterday's average $3.98, then a week ago about $3.95, and I know right as we were last week was ending, it was about $3.98. Talking specifically about Arkansas, we're still looking at about $3.40. That is up about 1 cent. It was about $3.39 towards the end of the week. It is in the high $3.39, as you see there, $3.39.7. A lot of places going to be likely saying $3.40. Let's check you into your metro area, get you specifically into Jonesboro. $3.43 is that average we're looking at right now. So fuel prices continuing to rise, as you heard there. The Marco Rubio special envoy Steve Witkoff noting that conversations were ongoing about possibly bringing an end to this conflict. So also, we got stock markets also reacting to these new comments from the president on boots on the ground, essentially, these new comments. I know U.S. stock futures sink, oil prices surge as Iran war shows no signs of letting up. There you go. That is coming in from Market Watch. Oil prices rose after Iran warned against a U.S. ground invasion despite ongoing negotiations. Now, the conflict, particularly the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, has caused significant oil disruptions and higher gas prices, we were just noting earlier. Experts now warning that even after the war ends, gas prices could take some time to let up. And I was watching some news over the weekend, getting ready for this show, and I was listening in, and they were saying, well, we've often blamed gas prices on the president, but in this case, there's a lot of things that the president can't do to lower prices, but the president can raise prices, is essentially what they were saying. And this conflict is causing their prices to raise, but even if they were to back out of the conflict, there's nothing they can do to essentially control Iran to let go of these gas prices. And at least when you put that into perspective, okay, I see how that could work there. So again, we're going to continue updating you day by day, as again, this war now encroaching on a month there. So again, day by day, we'll bring you updates of the war in Iran. Stick with us all week for that. No Kings protests held across the nation. These were big. It was everywhere you turned, including in Jonesboro. Got some video to show you of it. Here we go. Some video of it from Indianapolis. I should say from Providence, Rhode Island, to Indianapolis, Indiana. They went all the way to Los Angeles, where we know
crowds of people are gathering this weekend.
Excuse me, here, where we know some people did get a little rowdy, a little in trouble there over the weekend as they kind of protest in front of a federal building at Los Angeles. These taking place all against President Trump's policies, the rising cost of living, and the war with Iran. Now, demonstrations occurred. There's the Los Angeles video. You might see some of the police and clashing with protesters there. You see it there. This running and protesters clashing with police clashing with protesters here. Again, these protests occurring in major cities, suburbs, small towns, including in Jonesboro, with significant events in Los Angeles, New York, and Minnesota. Of course, Minneapolis, Minnesota having a big protest. Of course, they were where a lot of these ICE operations that they were protesting against had occurred. The protesters, which have occurred twice before, this being the third time now, saw participation from a diverse range of Americans, including those who are in traditionally Republican strongholds, including there right here in Jonesboro. As I had mentioned a few moments ago, protesters gathering near what used to be the mall at Turtle Creek. So, Likely to be a few more of these. Of course, the president still has quite some time in office until 2028 when his term is up. So we'll see and bring you more of these when they occur. Also, this morning, as we were checking in on where everything stood at the shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security, airport lines slowing just a little bit this morning. And throughout the day, ICE going to remain at airports, though. We'll play Tom Homan. The borders are on that here coming up in just a few moments. But lines slowing at big airports that saw 3-4 hour waits. Now it was only 30 minutes, at least this morning when I was checking in on everything. So that is a good sign. The Senate meeting this morning in a pro temp session, which essentially means it is where they meet, but not a lot of senators are there. And the only way to pass something is unanimously. Of course, that did not occur. If one person votes against it in these type of sessions, it's a no-go instantly. So that did not again occur. Some DHS funding did not occur. This comes after last week to bring you up to speed. If you didn't join us on Friday, or we were posting a lot of videos on our social media as well, giving you guys updates on that. But the House said, no, we're not going to go for this bill that the Senate had originally passed that did not include funding for ICE. The Senate Republicans unanimously voting for it, and the Democrats also voting in favor of this bill to get it forward to the House. The House saying we're not in no way going to not fund ICE and Border Patrol. And then Speaker of the House Mike Johnson coming up with a new bill, bringing it to the expected to be brought to the House floor very soon. But again, I got a note. Congress now in recess for Easter. And I'm just now realizing recess is spelled wrong there in that graphic at the bottom of your screen. Didn't mean to really point out a mistake. But Congress now in their Easter recess. And they won't return till April 14th. So that's at least 2 more weeks of this Department of Homeland Security shut down now. To note, President Trump signed an executive order essentially directing the new Secretary of DHS, Mark Wayne Mullen, the former senator, to go ahead and use the funds that are already there to pay specifically TSA agents. That does not include the civilians in the Coast Guard and other operations, other people that work, FEMA that works within the DHS. So of course, they are now still going without a paycheck. And the last update we also had was about 500 people had exited their job. Though, even though ICE agents now being paid, Tom Homan says ICE will remain at airports.
An ICE presence there, and until the airports feel like they're in 100%, in a posture where they can do normal operations. If less TS agents come back, that means we'll keep more ICE agents there. The president been clear. He wants to secure those airports, especially, as I said earlier, in an increased threat posture. We need to secure those airports. ICE is there to help our brothers and sisters in TSA. We'll be there as long as they need us until they get back to normal operations and feel like those airports are secure.
So there you go. Tom Homan there speaking on all of that, saying ICE will remain at airports. Of course, Democrats in videos, they have begun helping with IDs and different things like that. A lot of them seem standing around, appearing to patrol. Democrats pointing that out and criticizing that, saying they're there, but they're not even doing anything. If you remember last week, when we learned that ICE would be at airports, we brought you a report on all of this from Tom Homan, saying it takes about 4 months to learn how to do everything. But right now, they're going through a few hours of training, and then they are brought to the floor, essentially, to kind of, they can scan IDs and do different, easier tasks to put the TSA agents that have either not quit or called in on the roles that they are trained to do. We're going to sneak in our first break of the hour. We got a lot more to come up for you. We're going to talk about the arrest of Tiger Woods occurring over the weekend. What was about that? And coming up a little later on the show, Saturday marked 6 years since the Jonesboro tornado that struck through the heart of Jonesboro left a little damage right here in Brookland. We're going to recap that. 6 years since that again, guys. Wow. We're back here in just a few moments. Again, you are watching Brooklyn News Live. Welcome back here on the Brookland News Live. We want to take you to a quick breaking story. We're just learning of an update on that deadly synagogue attack at the church at the Temple Israel that occurred in West Bloomfield, Michigan. Jennifer Runyon, the FBI Detroit special agent in charge, now providing an update on that case. Let's turn the volume up and listen in.
Of March 9th, the assailant began visiting numerous different web pages of Jewish cultural, educational, and religious centers all throughout the Detroit metro area, and even viewed multiple pages of upcoming events at Temple Israel. During the morning and early morning of March 10th, he continued his online searches with specific search terms and phrases such as the largest gathering of Israelis in Michigan, Orthodox synagogues, Israelis near me, what time is the Trump rally in Michigan, as well as a center affiliated with the Israeli embassy in Michigan. He later attempted to try and delete these queries, but we were able to recover them. At approximately 1 p.m. on March 10th, the assailant visited a local shooting range and practiced shooting his new weapon. He then drove to the local fireworks vendor that he researched at approximately 2 p.m. and purchased over $2,200 of fireworks. After leaving that local fireworks vendor, he continued reviewing web pages related to Temple Israel, its clergy, and its upcoming events. On March 11th, the day before the attack, in the early morning, he began adding photos to a Facebook photo album that he entitled Vengeance. And he started including images such as the late Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khomeini, as well as the late Hezbollah Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah. With there on the right, in Arabic, it says, "Burn their world, for we have a vendetta against them that we will never forget." Throughout that morning on the 11th, he continued to post photos of his deceased brothers, niece, and nephew, and exchanged some messages with his family. However, at approximately 2:22 p.m., the delivery of his 45.3-gallon collapsible water containers arrived. And from 2:45 onward, we see him begin planning and organizing his truck. And he goes to get gas 4 different times so that he can fill up his containers without alerting too much suspicion. By 10:50 p.m., he makes his final run to a gas station and purchases 2 torch lighters, which we believe he used to light his truck on fire. Throughout the same afternoon, while he's organizing his truck and going to gas stations, the assailant continued reviewing web pages for Temple Israel and its upcoming events. And by 6:30, he continued posting pro-Hezbollah propaganda, as well as videos of his brother, and watching a video about how Israel is the most violent country in the world. Next slide. This is just an example of some of the posts that he was posting during the afternoon of the 11th. On the left is a statement issued by the Islamic Resistance of Hezbollah about the beginning of a military operation on March 11th called El As El Makul, which is a term used in the Quran where it refers to the destruction of the enemy and turning the enemy into withered, dead leaves. In the bottom left of that photo on the left, you can see 2 logos. One is for the military media of the Islamic Resistance, and the second logo is for Lebanese Hezbollah. On the right is a meme with the actual verse from the Quran in the Al-Fil chapter, where it describes destroying the enemy and turning them into dead and withered leaves. At approximately 9:40 p.m., before he went to his last round of gas, he did one final search for what time is lunch at Temple Israel, and later deleted that query as well. On the morning of the attack, early in the morning hours, he posted numerous photos to Facebook of his deceased family members, as well as the following comments. Can you go back one? Right there. In the early morning hours, he continued posting on random and various Facebook profiles that said, "We will seek retribution for their sacred blood." Simu, which was a phrase for his brother, "Heaven is fortunate to have you." Israel is a cancerous, malignant growth. Israel is pure evil. And the oppressors will soon know what kind of end they will meet. By 6:56, he searched again online for additional rifle accessories. And by 7:20, he made a Facebook status post that said, "You killed the Ali and Hussein of our time. We will avenge their blood." He also posted additional comments to various Facebook threads and added additional photos to his Vengeance profile photo album in Facebook. From 8:45 to 9:52 that morning, before he left, the assailant visited the web pages again of a local firearms vendor, sporting goods store, and searched for a double magazine holster. That at approximately 9:18 a.m., the assailant departed for Temple, Israel, and arrived, as we all know, at approximately 9:58 a.m. At 10:01, he sends his sister a picture of a receipt that says $2,000 to Dad. And by 10:12, as he's sitting in the parking lot, he posts 4 videos, which were taken as he was driving to Temple, Israel that morning. In the background of these videos, which I'm just providing screenshots of, are Arabic anthems playing in the background that have the themes of resistance and military defiance and impending dawn. By 10:13, right after those 4 videos were posted, he posts this photo to his Vengeance photo album, that there's no need to learn Hebrew anymore. Next slide. And by 10:34 onward, this is where we see a significant amount of his ideology come forward. While he's sitting in the parking lot, he sends his sister overseas 19 videos, photos, and messages that reiterated his intent to commit a mass terrorist attack, as well as affirming his Hezbollah-inspired ideology. These communications included statements expressing a commitment to commit violent action, references to martyrdom, as well as threats to attack what he described as the largest gathering of Israelis in Michigan. I'm going to provide a few of the screenshots. I'm not providing comprehensively everything that we have during this time. First, here is a meme that he sent, the first one he sent to his sister. The translation is, "Jihad is the gateway to heaven, one that God opens to his chosen ones." Next slide. Next photo he sends her in order is a photo with the verse from the Quran overlaid there in yellow. "For such he has written faith in their hearts and strengthened them with a spirit from himself. And he will admit them to the gardens beneath which rivers flow to dwell therein. God will be well pleased with them." And they.
All right, you are watching their press conference come in really to us right now from Jennifer Runyon, who serves as the FBI special agent in charge at the Bureau in Detroit there, as we continue to take a live look at video at previous pictures from West Bloomfield, Michigan, showing the scene there, the deadly scene on that synagogue attack at Temple, Israel. We're now learning, though, from that update that this suspect held Hezbollah ideology. He communicated, as you heard through Jennifer Runyon saying, with his family before, and had search history that proved that he was looking for where the Trump rally was, where he could find the largest gathering in Michigan at this church in Temple, Israel. So again, this all coming into us moments ago, just now, from Jennifer Runyon there. We will keep you guys updated on all of this if we get any more updates. So we're going to sneak in another quick break here. We've got more to come right here on Brooklyn News Live.
location just down to the southwest. But just looking at that camera shot right
Oh,
now,
right there.
that is an extremely healthy storm.
What'd you say?
There's
What's
a
that?
tornado coming out this storm right in town. It's in Jonesboro right now.
Oh, there it is, right there. Zoom in. Can you zoom in on that? Guys, we have a confirmed tornado in Jonesboro. So if you're in the Jonesboro city limits, get into your safe spot. This is real time. This is a tornado on the ground inside Jonesboro, Arkansas. Guys, I need you in your safe spot. If you don't know what that is, it's a room where windows and walls do not go outside. So a closet, a bathroom, get in the tub, cover yourself with blankets or helmets. This tornado is on the ground, and it is just continuing to strengthen.
This is south
power
of,
flashes
right
right
there
there.
on Highland Drive. This is that bank right there. That's the bank on Highland Drive. This is going across.
Okay, there's power flash.
Right
We've
there
got debris
near
in
that
the air.
shopping
Hey guys,
center.
hold on just a second.
Oh, wow.
Hold on just a second. Let's not talk over each other. I want to tell these people. Zach's going to continue to point this out. This right now is picking up debris.
A moment that will never not give you the chills. They're gut-wrenching to listen to once again. It has been 6 years since an EF3 tornado rocked through the entire city of Jonesboro, the heart of Jonesboro. It was hard. It was heavy. It was hard to believe that this moment had become true. We of course live in an area where tornadoes are probable. Tornadoes occur all the time. But for them to land in such a large city with such a population, and then following that to have no fatalities is really, really starking. The National Weather Service Little Rock taking to its social media page to note about all of this and showing that iconic iDrive Arkansas image, that camera that showed this tornado as it crossed. You see there the EF3 tornado went just outside of Brookland there. If you, if I can, I wonder if I'm able to zoom this in, I believe. Yes, I can zoom it in for you to show you specifics here. But Brookland really did dodge a bullet in all of this. So you'll see Jonesboro, it'll go up Highway 49. I remember around Farville Curve, which is where kind of Gamble Home is now located. I remember they were heavily affected by all of this. And then again, we have that iDrive Arkansas image there on the other side showing when this tornado touched the ground. So that was that Ruby Tuesday, I believe I see there in the background. So, a long time ago, a lot of things have changed throughout the city. A lot of growth has occurred, but again, a moment you will never forget. We also want to turn to some more headlines that we are continuing to follow on this Monday. Tiger Woods arrested on a DUI charge. So, originally, he had taken the breathalyzer, but he refused to give a sample of his urine, which then led to his arrest. This comes after a rollover crash that occurred in Florida. I wish we had some video of it. We were unable to get some access to it. Here's the mugshot that was released of Tiger Woods there on your screen, showing you there. Again, his face. It was a rollover collision. His fans did show support. They were seen wearing T-shirts, according to TMZ, with his mugshot and the message, quote, "Free Tiger" at the Texas Children's Houston Open. Now, Woods, again, failed a field sobriety test and refused a urine sample, leading to his arrest. He was released after posting bond. Now, to note here, this is not the first little bit of legal trouble that Tiger Woods has gotten in. A press conference was held that same day after the crash on all of this. Here is the authorities out of Florida explaining what occurred here.
At the top, it did appear that the driver of the Land Rover might be impaired, and at that point, the Chief Ewing of Jupiter Island Police Department called me from the Martin County Sheriff's Office and asked for our assistance. It wasn't that the Jupiter Island Police Department isn't fully capable of doing these types of investigations, but quite frankly, the Sheriff's Office has a lot more repetitions in these traffic crashes and these types of investigations. Our investigation revealed as follows. Shortly again before 2, the pressure cleaner truck pulling a small trailer, was northbound on South Beach Road and was pulling kind of to turn into a driveway. It was slowing down, starting to turn into a driveway, and the driver of that vehicle looked in his mirror and saw a Land Rover, a dark-colored Land Rover, overtaking him at high speeds, and I don't know those speeds. The Land Rover kept overtaking him. He saw it coming, so he tried to edge off to the side of the road, but this is a small 2-lane road, and there was no shoulder for this pressure cleaner gentleman to get off the side of the road.
So there you go. Authorities out of Florida explaining exactly what occurred. That Range Rover was driven by Tiger Woods. According to the sheriff there, he was driving fast, trying to overtake a power washer truck that was turning into a nearby driveway. Again, Tiger Woods has now been released on bond. Okay, another quick break. We are going to talk about a new report from the Washington Post on the FBI possibly trying to sway the California governor election. We're talking about it in just a few moments. Welcome back here on the Brookland News Live. Of course, as always, on this Monday, still a lot of news to get to. We're going to start with that report now coming in from the Washington Post, suggesting that some concerns have been raised within the FBI on Kash Patel's push against one Democratic lawmaker. That Democratic lawmaker that Democratic lawmaker being Representative Eric Swalwell, the Democrat from California, who is now running in the race to become California's next governor. Now, according to this article here, it says that FBI Director Kash Patel is now pushing for the release of documents into an investigation, a decade-old investigative file against Representative Eric Swalwell. Now, the FBI now reopening its investigation into the congressman, though the reasons remain unclear. Now, this comes amidst the backdrop of political tension, with Swalwell, as I mentioned a few moments ago, now running for governor in California and facing scrutiny from many within the Trump administration here, including a potential public disclosure. As I was just saying, the Capitol is now pushing for of a decade-old file that never led to any criminal referral or any actual I should say any actual action legally, rather just an investigation. Now, the file involves Swalwell's relationship with suspected Chinese intelligence operative Christine Fang. So we'll have to see what exactly occurs with that. I want to read you a piece from this article where it says, quote, "The potential release is part of the Trump administration's aggressive push to investigate Swalwell, a vocal critic to President Donald Trump and a leading Democratic candidate for California governor. According to the people familiar with the effort, it is highly unusual for the FBI to release case files tied to a probe that did not result in criminal charges." So we'll have to follow how exactly that story goes there. And I want to note, tomorrow, we're going to have a different type of story on the California governor race and how it could sway Republican. So join us tomorrow for that. So again, we're going to follow what the Washington Post, continues to report there. A 14-year-old now on the race and now on the ballot in the race to become the next governor of Vermont. You heard me right there. 14-year-old Dean Voy of Stowe, Vermont, now going to become the first teenager to appear on the state's general election ballot for governor. After serving as a legislative page, Roy founded his own Freedom and Unity Party to qualify. He says he doesn't expect to win, but wants to start a campaign for a youth movement. Let's want to play a report here for you.
I kind of just looked up what the age limit was to run for governor. I figured out that there are none. Our Constitution is really, really old. They just never defined one. And really then just from there, I've just been campaigning.
Hello, I'm Dean Roy, running to become the youngest governor of the state of Vermont. In this state, our only restriction to run is that you have to have lived here for 4 years.
This really all started my 6th grade year. Our school did a field trip to the state capitol, and then my 8th grade winter, I spent 6 weeks at the capitol working as a page. It was a really, really cool experience.
As your governor, I will fight to expand affordable housing by making smart, realistic changes.
So I'll become the first ever person under 16 to make it to the general election. I, obviously, do not have a huge budget behind me. In fact, I have $0 behind me. But social media, the nice thing about it is it takes essentially nothing. And for me, I've just found it a lot more effective.
If I were governor, I would make sure to end all government mandates, forcing to end the sale of gas-powered cars.
He just has a curiosity about everything. He was always dialed in and really focused in class, asked great questions, even though it seems really far-fetched or people are telling you that it's not worth your time, being like, no, I'm gonna give it my all. It's kind of great.
I don't expect necessarily to win. What I do expect is to start the movement and to get more young people to come in behind me and say, yeah, we also want to make change.
You heard him there. He doesn't expect to win, but he wants to start a movement of people saying they are also wanting change. You know how I feel about young people in roles of adults. I'm here as a independent journalist right now. So fully, I don't know what his movement is, but I fully back that he is a young person trying to start a movement there. So again, that was Dean Roy of Stowe, Vermont. He's going to appear on the Vermont general election ballot to become the next governor. Alrighty, here another quick break. When we come back, this story is really interesting, guys. A 4-year-old with the reading level of a 12th grader accepted into what? We're talking about it when we come back. Alrighty, welcome back here on the Brookland News Live. Just moments ago, the press conference that we tuned into earlier in the hour began taking questions after they released new information on that synagogue attack that occurred back in Michigan and earlier this month, releasing that this was Hezbollah linked. Take a listen.
Prior to this happening? So we believe that she's located in Lebanon, and based upon the communications that we see, she didn't see the additional videos that were sent until an hour after the attack.
Corey at the AP, given the evidence that you guys found, how much more sobering is this attack now than it was the day it happened?
It's still as sobering as it was on the first day. The amazingness that we had no additional fatalities based upon what this assailant was planning to do is just a testament to the preparedness of the Temple Israel security guards. And no matter what the motive, it is still something that we take very seriously, and we make sure that we can prepare for, respond, disrupt any sort of attacks like this from happening ever again.
Charlie Langton, Fox 2. Maybe for the U.S. Attorney, but did I misunderstand perhaps this guy was getting some direction from Hezbollah? And if that's the case, that you would bring a charge of providing material support, there must be someone else out there, maybe Hezbollah, that would face charges. Any other people involved with this?
What I was saying is that under the law, in order to prove direction and control, there's no legal difference whether a Hezbollah commander called this man and said, go do this attack, or whether this man consumed Hezbollah propaganda and heeded the call within the propaganda to go do an attack. When we have only the latter type of evidence, we charge material support. If we have evidence that another person's involved, then it's conspiracy. So what we have now is what I discussed.
No conspiracy. You don't believe there's any other person that assisted with this crime from this guy?
The information that we have up to this point is just as Special Agent Runyon said, information sufficient to charge providing material support. Thank you, sir.
Hi, Renelle Greer, Detroit Jewish News. In some of his messages to his sister, he said he was going to go and shoot as many people as he could. So were the explosives, do you know, was that just to take his own life if he cornered, or did he plan to?
So there's no way for me to fully know what was in his mind. That last video where he's basically issuing a statement of his why is, I plan to kill as many and I booby-trapped the car. And I think in his mind, he was trying to cause a mass amount of damage as quickly as possible to a set of over 100 kids who were just going to school that day. And that's the terribleness of this attack.
Okay. And also to clarify material support, you said he provided material support to Hezbollah. How is that? By doing that act of terrorism?
Yes, he provided himself just the same way a soldier would provide himself an attack. So he was the support.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Alan Lingle from Medline, Detroit. Quick question. The IDF came out with information that his brother was the commander in the Hezbollah, was killed. Was the planning for this attack for the death of his brother, or was this precipitated by the death of his brother?
So we saw that before the death of his family, before the Iran war, the assailant was consuming pro-Hezbollah materials, was affiliated with that ideology. While the mobilization and radicalization we saw in earnest come after March 9th, it still is almost immaterial because it's a terrorist attack that had against people who had nothing to do with the death of his family. It was a target attack against the Jewish community here in Michigan.
The purchase of weapons and firecrackers, was that after the death of his brother?
Yes, sir. It was on March 9th and 10th, like I laid out. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hi, Faraz from Channel 7 ABC Detroit. A couple of questions, and I think you might have answered this, but just for safety. Do you, based on the evidence that you've collected, do you believe that the assailant would have carried out the attack even without his family members being killed?
So our investigation has to follow the facts, and the facts in this case are very clear that he was engaging with that ideology beforehand, and there is no, and he used that material to justify his actions to target the largest temple in Michigan. And so there's no action that justifies or contextualizes this attack to make it, well, it's because of his family or not. It's a Hezbollah-inspired act of terrorism. When it happened and in the timeline of events, it still is based on this ideology and attempt to kill as many people as possible.
So are you saying that he could have been activated any time?
I'm not in his head, and I can't opine on his motives at this point in time. If he was alive, we may be able to ask that. But I've laid out the facts that we have to date, and at the end of the day, it's a Hezbollah-inspired act of terrorism that happened on March 12th.
There's also mixed messaging in terms of, like, if he was directly part of Hezbollah, or is it only his brothers were working for Hezbollah? Can you shed some clarity on that?
Sure. So he was inspired by Hezbollah. The FBI has not been able to independently verify if he was indeed a member of Hezbollah. Hezbollah would like to share with us their member list. That would make the FBI's job a lot easier. But at the end of the day, he was using that ideology to radicalize and justify his attack.
One last question is
Alrighty there, the FBI providing an update on a suspect who they say expressed Hezbollah ideology before attacking and killing multiple, or I should say, instead of killing Kira, injuring a security guard before he was rammed his vehicle into Temple Israel in West Bloomfield, Michigan. Excuse me there, I was trying to get my thoughts together. Now the FBI, they're providing an update. We just wanted to tune back into it and listen to the point where they began taking questions. Now to look at some of the other headlines we're following, and that brings us right now to a look outside, live there in Brooklyn. Thanks, RDOT, for having that camera for us every day, so we're able to tune into it whenever we can. The forecast actually doesn't look bad at all. We're going to be looking, staying in the 60s. Then tomorrow, we're in the 80s. So tonight, low of 65. By tomorrow, we're going to see a high of 84. It is going to be a little windy tomorrow, even windier than it was today, and a low of 65. So by Wednesday, high of 83, low of 67. Clouds going to be out, mostly sunny as we go into Wednesday, so it's going to be something to watch for here. So we've got good weather coming to us, and it is going to be something to enjoy and step outside for. I will say this weekend, I stepped outside for a little bit too long, got a little sunburn. The UV was 8 on Saturday afternoon, so got a little sunburn. I wonder what the UV is right now. Let me actually look at that to see. Sometimes after the show, I do my planning for the show, and I'll step outside. The UV, it is loading, taking a while to load. Of course, when I need it on demand, it wants to take forever to load. Excuse me. Apple weather. I always use Apple weather to check the UV. Okay, it's loading now. It's actually, it feels like 74. It's 79 degrees actually. The UV is 5, so not too bad. You might need a little bit of sunscreen if you're stepping outside. So a beautiful day in Brooklyn. It feels pretty nice outside. The sun not too out and about, so maybe that's why the UV is down to 5 though. So the forecast not that bad at all. I want to take you to another story. This one's interesting, guys. A 4-year-old with a 12th grade reading level now accepted into Ivy League IQ groups. This is coming from KCAL KCBS. I want to play their report for you.
Here's Miss Zara. At just 4 years old, Zara Aldrich isn't shy. Can I have a hug? Oh my gosh, we're here to do a story on you. I know. And it doesn't take long to see she's operating on a whole different level.
This is potentialite and this is connect.
Within moments, she's explaining the fundamental concepts of physics and doing math equations.
My math calculator, and this is how you turn it on. My favorite subject is doing math. And math and projects.
When it comes to puzzles, she's fast.
We'll mix it up. No cheating.
Nope. Daddy says it's better to turn the pieces over.
She's also not into picture books.
This was my freshman college chemistry text.
What is chemistry? It is the study of the properties of substances.
Her parents say this is nothing new. Zara has been surprising them from the very beginning.
It's the Danube, huh?
No.
What is it?
It's not a river.
What struck me was her attention span at such a young age.
Mom Nadia Villapuda, a special education administrator, and Dad Brett Aldrich, a robotics programmer, say Zara recited the alphabet before age 2.
Roughly 80% of the global solar supply chain.
She is reading at a 12th grade level and is mastering math concepts like fractions to exponents.
Multiplying 2 digits by 1 digit.
Zara has just been accepted into both Mensa, a high IQ society which recognizes the top 2% of the population, and Intertel, an even more exclusive group limited to the top 1%.
Once we got her tested.
Wow. So a 4-year-old with the reading level of a 12th grader, you heard her there say she doesn't like picture books. She prefers to read that text, that freshman level chemistry book. I don't even like reading that, and I read a lot. Just wow. So really awesome. She's a big future. So good luck to her. Alrighty, that is going to do it for us on this. Actually, before we go, quickly, tomorrow wraps up the last day of voting. I wanted to show you this really quickly before we win. Make sure you cast your vote. Right now in Arkansas, the big race is the race to become the next Secretary of State. I've got this graphic I want to show you here. This is, again, the race to become the next Secretary of State. Brian Norris, Kim Hammer on that ballot as after they advance to a runoff. Tomorrow, again, 7:30 is when polls close Central Time. Please go vote, guys. This is the race you're voting for if you live in Brookland. There might be a few other depending on where you live in Arkansas. That is going to do it for us, though, as I was just saying there on this Monday. I almost said Friday. Remember, you can join us each and every weekday, 2 p.m. Central. We're trying to be more consistent with it, trying to bring you more of our coverage. Again, that's weekdays at 2 p.m. Again, Monday, March 30th is today. April Fool's is coming up. I don't know. Should I do something for y'all? I don't know. We'll see. Thanks for watching.